Let's have a look at how to edit text on Canva. Let's jump on it. The first thing to learn when it comes to editing text in Canva is to actually know how to add text. And the simplest way to do that in Canva is to actually just press T on your keyboard. This will add some dummy text to your canvas. Now, as you can see, when you do that, the text is actually highlighted in blue. And whenever that is the case, you can easily change your text by simply typing some new text on your keyboard. If your text is not selected like this here, to highlight it, simply triple click on it. Next, let's have a look at how to make text bigger in Canva. First of all, left click on your text. And on the edges of the text box, you will then see these circular handles right here. To make text bigger now, simply hover over one of these, and then left click and hold and then drag. This will make your text bigger. If you will drag it into the opposite direction, this will make your text smaller. Let me show you one more time. First of all, click on it, and then go to one of the white circles here on the edge, and then left click, hold and drag. To make it smaller, do the opposite. Now let's have a look at how to change the font of a text in Canva. First of all, left click on the text, and whenever you select your text like this, on top you will then see all the text features. In the upper left corner of the screen, you will then find the current font of your text. So in our case here, it is Canva Sans. Now to change the font, simply click on this down arrow symbol here next to the font. And you will then get a list with all sorts of different fonts right here. Now to change the font, simply click on the font that you would like to change it to. Next to that, in the text bar right here, we have the font size. By using the minus or the plus right here, you can also change the size of your text just as we did it before. But this time here, instead of dragging, what you have to do is to either click on minus to decrease the font size, or to click on plus to increase the font size. So let's give this a try. So this makes our font size bigger, and this makes it smaller. Compared to the method that I showed you before, this is actually pretty slow. Remember, you can just go to these handles right here, click, hold and drag. And like this, you can make the font smaller or bigger very quickly. In my opinion, this way is much better and much faster. Next in line, we have the text color square. When you click on it, you can easily change the font of your text by simply clicking here on one of these default colors, for example red. Now you're probably very familiar already with the next few features that you can find here in our text bar, because these are very common options that you can actually find in almost every text processing software. So we have bold here to make your text bold, then we have italics, we have an underline button to underline our text, then we have a strike through button, and then we also have an uppercase button. Now, as you can see for this particular font right here, two of these options here are actually grayed out. That is simply because not every font supports every option. So this font here, for example, cannot be bolded, and it can also not be put in italics. Next in line we have the effects button right here, and this is where things get really interesting, because in here we can find all sorts of text effects. Let us have a look. On the left side, under style, you will then find all the different text effects. And to apply one of these text effects, all you need to do is to click on one. So for example, if you would like to add a drop shadow to our text, we will click here on shadow, and this added a drop shadow here to our font. Now for the moment it is barely visible, but that is only because the drop shadow color is currently set to red as well, which is obviously pretty unfortunate. To change that, simply click on the color square here on the left side, and let us choose black instead. Now as you can see, this already looks much better, but it's still not really black. And the reason for that is simply that the transparency here on the left side is currently set to 40. If you want to have the shadow pitch black, then you would need to increase the transparency right here. Now the transparency is set to 100, and as you can see, we have a lovely drop shadow now. However, I would like to make this drop shadow a bit more prominent. And the way you can achieve that is by using offset right here. So I will increase the offset. And this looks so much better in my opinion. Now we have a lot of contrast in our font, and the drop shadow is very prominent now and highly visible. If you would like to remove a text effect in Canva, all you need to do is to click here on where it says none. And just like that, all the text effect settings that you set are automatically reverted. Another highly popular text effect is outline right here. So let us have a look. And here as well, I think black would be better, so here under color, I will click on this color square and I will change it to black. Also, while this already looks pretty lovely, I would like to increase the thickness of the outline a bit. So I will go to thickness here on the left side and increase that by using this slider right here. And this looks great, right? This kind of text effect is especially useful whenever you have a complex background behind the text, because without an outline, under these kind of circumstances, some fonts are barely readable. Let me quickly show you an example. In this case here, as you can see, we have a multicolored background. And with our outlined font right here, the readability of the text is actually very high, and people can read it with ease. But now let me remove the outline for a second, so I click on the text, and then on top I click on Effects again, and under Style here I will choose None. And as you can see now, the text really doesn't look that great anymore on top of that background, and it just doesn't really pop out anymore. So to summarize, whenever a text needs to be very easy to read, then it is always a great idea to add a text effect such as outline or drop shadow. This is especially true when you create thumbnails, for example YouTube thumbnails. Because the best thumbnails always use very easy to read fonts, and a lot of these texts that you will find on these thumbnails either have an outline or drop shadow. The difference especially becomes visible when you have the thumbnail at a very small size. Now for example we have the size here set at 18%. This is more or less the thumbnail size that you will actually see and find on YouTube itself. So it's obviously key that even at this very small size, everything is super easy to read and to recognize. And without an outline here, this font just doesn't get the job done. But now again, let me show you the version with the outline. And I guess we can at least agree that this is much easier to read now. If you would like to curve your text, you will also find this here under Text Effects. And you find it here at the very bottom. So to curve your text, simply click on Curve. And just like that, we have a lovely curved text right here. You can then use the curve slider right here to adjust the curve. This can be great for headings and titles as well as logos. And sometimes you might have a circle in your design, and by the way, to add a circle to your canvas, all you need to do is to press C on your keyboard. And then you might want to have your text here wrapped around all around this circle right here. So you could take advantage of the curve function, and as I just showed you here at the bottom, you can actually adjust the curve. And in this case we would just like to make sure that it has the perfect angle that goes with our circle. Which would probably be something like this, right? So I think this will do for text effects. So let us now have a look at a few other things that you can do with text in Canva. So once again I will left click on the text to select it. And next to effects here in our text bar we find animate. And with the help of this option we can actually animate our text. So let's click on it. And on the left side you will then find various text animations. Simply hover over these to see a preview. Rise, pan, fade, wipe, baseline, and then we have some super cool text animations here under writing. I really like the typewriter animation, for example. This is certainly a text animation that you often see in videos. So here as well, to apply one of these to your text, all you need to do is to click on it. And just like that, we have now applied this awesome typewriter animation to our text. So in case you're doing a video in Canva or maybe a slideshow, it is always a great idea to come here to text animations and take your text to the next level with one of these awesome animations. Now let us also briefly talk about how to add a background to your text. Now if you just like to add a background in general, then you can simply go to background here in the left sidebar and then choose from this vast library of backgrounds. Or you can also choose a single color background here on top. But this is maybe not what you want, right? Maybe what you meant is just to get a background here behind your text, right? And if that is the case, there are actually two great ways to get this done. The first way to add a background to text is again to use text effects. So we left click on the text, and then on top we go to effects. And then on the left side we choose background right here. And this will automatically apply a background to your text. Below, as always, you then have certain adjustment options. So for example, I could change the color here by clicking on this color square. I might set this to this color right here. But now with that color, our text color doesn't look good anymore. So here on top, I will click on text color and I will change it to white. Now I go back to effects. And now I would actually like to make this text box background a little bit smaller. I don't really want to change the width though. But that's actually not a problem. We can simply use the spread slider right here to get the job done. So I'll simply decrease the spread a bit. Maybe something like that. Now let me also show you the second way to add a background to our text. First press R on your keyboard and this will actually add a square to our canvas. Now left click on the square to make sure that it is selected. And you will then see that you have all sorts of handles here around the square. We have already learned that these circular handles here are actually there to make an object smaller or bigger. And this is the same here for our square. However, here on the sides we also have these so-called bar handles. And with these we can actually easily increase either the width or the height. So if I drag this one to the left, for example, we can easily make this the same length as our text, for example. Or a little bit longer if you want to use it as a background later on. Now I will go to the other side right here and drag it from here as well. Now let me just zoom out a bit again. And now to use this as a background, all we need to do is to actually hover over our text here and then left click and hold and drag it down. And place it over our background. Now we can still fine tune our background by clicking on it. And again we can use these handles right here if you would like to adjust it a little bit. So the box is a little bit too big for my liking, so I will decrease it a little bit from this side. I will do the same from the other side. And this looks about right. And that's it. You have now learned all the fundamentals that there are about editing text on Canva. But what if you would simply like to put the border around the text in Canva like this here? How can you do that? If you would like to find out, make sure to watch the next video on this channel. And while you do so, please also don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!